Hey, what's up guys, MugenLord here, and yes, today we will be talking about Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade had released just over the weekend, and I've got my copy of the game and currently playing it, and by the time I get done, definitely expect a review. But what's going on with Stellar Blade? Well, as expected, I said this before, a week before the release of the game, or a couple weeks before the release of the game, that there will be some controversy surrounding this game from the journalistic aspect of it, and even from the gaming community as a whole over social media. And boy, was I right about this. So what is the controversy entailed? Well, before we even dive into the video, make sure you hit the subscribe button, the notification bell for more gaming content here on this channel. So we're going to dive right into it. There's a whole lot to unpack, a whole lot to unravel here. As I said before, the biggest concern was whether or not if Stellar Blade going to have some form of censorship, regardless of what we've seen as far as Eve is concerned, as a hot, sexy female protagonist, something that a lot of gamers were anticipating and looking forward to pretty much take games back to what it used to be from the 90s to the early 2000s. And we wanted something like this, you know, we wanted to bring it back, something to be the norm compared to what we had for the past couple of decades with these butt ugly female characters that they constantly try to shove down our throats, and gaming journalists and even game companies themselves try to gaslight us into believing, you know, elsewise, you know what I'm saying? So what's going on here? Well, apparently that the game had finally released, and the biggest concern was when we first heard the announcement that Stellar Blade, or Shift Up, the company that's behind Stellar Blade, was partnering with Sony. Now, if you guys don't know, I have made a video about that with my concerns of whether or not that there will be some form of censorship now that they decided to partner up with Sony. Now, many people were concerned for the fact is that why did they go out their way to do that when they could have been their own self-publisher and just release the games on multiple platforms, which was the original plan to begin with. But once they got that partnership with Sony, things changed and people got concerned. Now, I remember making a tweet about this, and I know there were some people in the comment sections saying that I was rage baiting and just trying to just grift off the situation, that, you know, this is Shift Up we talking about. They never censor their games. You don't have nothing to worry about. They won't censor this. And now that we look at it right now, in fact, Stellar Blade has been censored. And it's been censored in two different categories, which we'll get into after we read this article. And a lot of fans are upset. A lot of fans are upset, especially after Shift Up just a week ago saying that the game will be uncensored throughout all the countries around the world, and that happened to not be the case once gamers have gotten their hands on the game. So we're going to dive into this article by Niche Gamer, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinions on everything that's going on when it comes to Stellar Blade. So it says Stellar Blade censorship acknowledged by Shift Up. Yes, that's right. Shift Up has also went to discuss about it, especially after everything went crazy over the internet regarding the censorship. So it says, yesterday fans came forward surprised to see different versions of the holiday rabbit costume in Stellar Blade. As a result, accusations and misinformation overtook the discourse. The first signs of censorship in Stellar Blade appeared online when users who received physical editions of the game noticed the holiday rabbit outfit was different after the game was patched. This was later thought to be a possible hoax after footage before the day one patch showed this censored outfit. And this is something I wanted to talk about too, is because if you go on my Twitter page, I'm telling you guys right now, check out my Twitter page if you guys want to stay involved and interact with me and hear my opinions, because most of the time when most of my content comes from my Twitter, because I'm always discussing certain things and I end up turning them into videos, or you guys will bring light to certain situations that I was unaware of, and I end up turning them into videos for you guys here on YouTube. But I said on Twitter that once this information came out, now this is before I went to go pick up my copy of the game, that there was a lot of screenshots going around and even video footage going around, and it was so much conflicting information whether or not that the game was censored, because some people had got the game and the costumes were completely intact, while other people who had played the game and said, no, these costumes has been censored, especially more specifically the bathing suit that everybody keeps pointing towards, and people saying, no, this is all a lie. But then people started showing some footage of it and said, yo, you can't fake this video footage at all. It is what it is. So many people was really confused, and what I said in my tweet, I was pretty much allowing everybody and telling everybody, look, I don't know yet. I didn't pick up my copy of the game yet, so I don't know. I'm just putting this information out there for you guys to be able to see. but don't jump to conclusions or just don't be reactionary. Wait for more information to come out, because information is constantly evolving, especially around this situation, and you don't want to jump the gun and come to find out that's not the case, or there may be more nuance behind this. And I always stress this to you guys. I'm not the rest of these other content creators that just drum up outrage and everything like that. I still want to allow you guys and say to you guys, you still need to have a sound mind before jumping the gun on this stuff. But that's what was going on at the time. So what appears to be the case is that reviewers who received a digital copy of the game were actually playing a 1.01 patch as opposed to the game as it was shipped. This transitional patch between the original game and the day one 1.02 patch appears to have been what censored the outfits. The information about the uncensored outfits came from individuals who received their physical editions early and played the game unpatched, which at the time meant it was difficult to verify. And yes, there was so many different versions of this going out when it came to the game, because some people got it early, then you had reviewers who got a totally different version, and that's why I was saying it was too much confusion, and a lot of people was wondering why I didn't make a video about it. And this was the very reason why. I didn't want to go out there and put all this, put a lot of information out there that just didn't make sense and it wasn't really verified. I rather wait till a lot of the information come out before I report it back to you guys, so then you guys can make a sound decisions of what you want to do moving forward. So it says, in the hours since Stellar Blade became available, more users have begun speaking up about the censorship and have been uploading videos of the uncensored outfit. There is also footage of the director of Stellar Blade allegedly acknowledging the censorship in the latest patch of the game. When asked, he gives a canned response claiming that the censored version is the intended version, but in my opinion, it seems like it is a very Sony response. Yes, so this is another thing that people are talking about here when it came to the CEO of Shift Up. He was saying that this was always the intended versions to patch it or whatever like that, to censor it. And many people say, well, if he's okay with it, then why are we arguing about it? Well, the problem is this sounds like more like corporate speak. And a lot of people was pointing out that this seemed like a rush job, a very last minute thing about how tacky some of the censorship or the putting the cloth layers on different parts of Eve's costumes before shipping it out. It seemed like that's what it was. And people were saying that if this was the intention, or this was intended the way it was intended, then why did you advertise it that this game was going to be uncensored all around in all different countries and everything? And then why did you show a lot of the gameplay and everything with the uncensored costumes, and then you turn around and say that this is the intended version that they always intended to begin with? So is that kind of misleading, or is that kind of like false advertisement? So that's why things are not making any sense and things are not adding up when it comes to this. That's why people believe that it's more so Sony meddling with it, and this is just corporate talk, to try to mitigate as much damage as possible. So it said there have also been other changes, such as reducing the level of gore. Now, people will play. I never played the demo. It's the boss, and when you kill and slay the boss, all the blood will come off and seep onto Eve herself, and she's just covered in blood. But then when you actually play the actual official release version, none of that is there. Now, I played it myself. I have the official version, and I can attest that, yeah, that is the case. With all that blood gushing out, they reduce as much blood covered on Eve as much as possible. So people is also upset about that, besides the outfits itself. But the first thing that really got people really concerned was the simple fact was the hard R. Now, what do you mean by the hard R? Well, what happened was people had noticed that the screenshots they have showed that there's a wall with graffiti. Now, people said this graffiti is placed in different parts of the particular area. Where you see the graffiti, it says hard, and then you have a shop that has R. So you put it together, and like I said, if you're a journalist or you just a wokey or you person that's just sensitive about everything and look for anything, and I always said this, if you're looking to be offended by something, you're going to find it somewhere. And the thing was, people screen captured and showed that it has the graffiti that says hard, and then it has the shop that says R, and then you put it together, it says hard R. Now, me as a black person, I'm not offended by it. I think it's the stupidest thing ever, because if I was playing the game, I would have never noticed it. I would have just walked by it. But the fact is that these people were combing through the game, looking for any nook and cranny to be offended by it, because they just don't want Stellar Blade to be successful to begin with, because of what Eve represent for gaming at this point in the culture war. So these people were looking for something to be offended by. And then right after that was pointed out, next thing you know, when the game was updated, it was patched. They removed the hard R from it. Now, many people were saying that, look, this is something that's really trivial, and they just don't want to deal with the nonsense and say, hey, just remove it so they don't have to deal with the backlash when the game comes out. But to me, I think it's cowardly, because to me, like I said, I wouldn't have noticed it was there, and I'm not offended, and most people don't really know what the hell hard art means. But that was the thing that really got people concerned, because that was the first thing that people noticed that was patched before people found out about the outfits itself. So, and it says, after that, it says, fans of Stellar Blade are organizing online to share their despair with the censorship of the game, which seemingly been mandated by Sony. Stellar Blade is now available on the PS5. And this is where we at right now when it comes to Stellar Blade. Now, I'm definitely going to give you my thoughts and opinions on everything that's going on right now. And the first thing I really want to address is that there is a lot of people that's either fucking ignorant or they just being disingenuous, because you have people who's posting up tweets, you know, angry at gamers who are upset that they didn't get the product that they want, that they were promised, that they end up getting a censored game instead of getting an uncensored game. And these people, what they're doing is they're minimalizing it, the concerns, by saying that, hey guys, oh, because you didn't be able to see more ass cheeks or whatever like that, this is why you guys are upset. And the thing is, this is so disingenuous and it's so surface level. People are not understanding why people is really upset. It's not really about Eve and her being colored up. It's the fact is that censorship is still censorship, no matter how you twist it, no matter how you turn it around. Because there's other people that says that, hey man, it's still not a big deal, she's still sexy and everything. But that's not the point. People are more so upset about the principle. It's the principle behind the whole situation. Because like I said, people is holding on to Shift Up's word when it comes to what they said weeks before the game has been released. Just a couple of days, they said that, hey, this game is uncensored. The game is uncensored in all countries, all around the world.
It's a made-up tale. It's a total fabrication. It never happened. It never happened. This one was invented by a writer. Not this time.
And that's what they said. And people pre-order that game based on that statement that the game will be uncensored. It's going to be tampered with. And then when you get the game, you pop the game in, and you end up seeing the opposite. Gore, you know, censored. Then the whole hard R thing was replaced. And then Eve was censored when it comes to her outfits. It's not about the fact that Eve has been covered up. It's the principle behind it. And it's just nerve-wracking that you have some people who are just ignorant, and then you just have some people who just fucking disingenuous and just taking it from the surface level and thinking that people are just mad and upset that they can't be horny, or they can't get their rocks off, or they can't get porn in their games. And it always boiled down to that, and they always miss the fucking point. That's the whole point of this, is that censorship, no matter what it is, censorship is just wrong in general. And then you falsely sold everybody a product that they ended up not getting. That's the thing that people are upset about, and people just want to remain ignorant when it comes to that. So now, who is responsible for this? Because a lot of people was talking about who's responsible. Like, who should we point the finger at? Who should we get upset at? Now, a lot of people saying that it's Sony, you know, because Sony is known for censoring their games. We talked about this in plenty of my other videos. That's how Sony take a lot of games and they censor it or whatever. And the thing is, there's a lot of, I guess you would say, controversy or a lot of hypocrisy about that when it comes to what games Sony decides to have censored and what games they decide to want to have censored. But we'll get into that in a second. And then you have other people saying, no, both Shift Up and Sony is to blame for this whole censorship situation. So there's something that I want to bring up to you guys, and this is something that I didn't know. Now, apparently, it appears that Shift Up does have a history of censoring their games. Now, what I'm talking about? Well, I started digging around and I saw a couple tweets of people mentioning about it as well. So I did some digging around and found an article of fans being upset that they had released one of their mobile games. And a lot of you guys may not be familiar with this because a lot of you guys in my audience don't play mobile games. So I don't play mobile games, so I didn't know as well. But there's a game called Destiny Child, and Destiny Child, once the game had released to the West, a lot of fans who were anticipating the game was noticing that, hey, a lot of the images that they have for the female characters has been totally censored compared to the Eastern version of the game. And fans were extremely upset about it. And then the game that everybody praises a lot, which is called Nikkei, the Goddess of Victory, that game has also had been censored. And there's plenty of articles of outrage from fans who are upset. And the CEO himself had also said that the game wouldn't be censored. So there's a history that's going on, which is why people are not giving Shift Up any slack at all. Now, this is information that I'm putting out there for you guys to make that decision on your own, whether or not you want to believe that and want to put the blame solely just on Sony. So we just want to wait and see how all that panned out. Now, another thing that I found quite interesting with some of you guys is what should I do? There's a lot of people that are saying, what should I do about this situation? Because, as I said before, this whole situation is way more nuanced than just black and white. Hey, boycott the game. Hey, buy the game. It's so much layers to this, because I have made a tweet. And if we go to my Twitter, I had talked about this because I think this is very important, because it's when it comes to Stellar Blade, this is a very crazy situation that gamers are in right now. On my Twitter, I had said something along the lines as, I said that there will be a crazy conflicts as the game gets close to release. Stellar Blade has put everyone in a crazy position where they must choose a stance. Despite journals saying how much they dislike Eve's sexualization, they end up admitting that they like the game. Now that censorship has reared its ugly head, those who are anti-censorship will have to decide what they're going to do. Will they support the game despite its censorship, or will they get a refund after finding out that they have been lied to? The crucial part of this could go in various directions. Gamers could put their foot down and not support the game. If the game ends up bombing because of it, it's a win for gamers who are against censorship and spoke with their wallet. On the other hand, the journals win because having a game with Eve as a protagonist is something that should not be allowed and deserves to fail. When it comes to Shift Up, they can interpret this in two ways. One, we should have stuck to our guns and not censor. Or two, I guess gamers don't want Stellar Blade and will never attempt something like this again. Other developers see the controversy coming from the anti-censorship crowd and the pro-censorship crowd and won't attempt to make a game similar to Stellar Blade with a protagonist like Eve. This is just my speculation, and that's all I wanted to say about that. And this is very important. This is a very unique situation that they're in. And people are asking, hey, what should I do? There's a lot of you guys who's asking me, hey, MugenLord, what should I do? And there's a lot of people on Twitter asking their favorite YouTubers or culture war, I guess you say, icons, what they should do. And this is the thing I want to say to you guys when it comes to this, because I always try to preach on this channel that despite what I say, despite the information that I put out here, and the information I always put out here is for you to be able to see the grand scheme or the scope of things so you can make your own sound decision. I never tell you what to do with your money. At the end of the day, it's your money. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do with your money. If you want to buy the game because, hey, you like Eve as a protagonist, and you still, regardless of the censorship, you still think she's a sexy, beautiful, attractive character, and you want to play the game and get into the game, go play the game if you want to. If you feel as though that the censorship is censorship and it's bad and they lied to us and you don't want to support it, fine. I'm also with you on that decision as well. But at the end of the day, you still need to think for yourself. Stop relying on these YouTubers. Stop relying on these culture war icons to make the decisions for you. But look, you got the wokies, you got the woke crowds. They're already NPCs. They already can't think for themselves. They see what everybody else is doing and then they just follow. They follow like lemmings. They follow like sheeps. And I want to say the same thing about the anti-woke crowd. You can't end up being the same exact thing that you're trying to fight against and trying to pretty much follow what everybody else is doing. You still have to think for yourself. Even when I put this information out here, you don't believe everything that I say. I still encourage you to go research and go into the information with a sound mind yourself. I'm not the arbiter of of any of this. I'm not the arbiter of truth. I'm just a person that just want to put the information out there, and I also have growing concerns of what's going on with my favorite hobby, and I'm just speaking my mind, speaking my opinion, showing receipts, and just relaying it to you guys for you guys to be able to open up your own mind to make your own decision on what you want to do. And I don't want to, and it's sad that we have gotten to this point to where now people aren't thinking for themselves. They're looking for somebody to give them the answers of what they should do. So we also put into the tight spot, because you also have people on the anti-woke side as well, telling people, or shouting at people, or talking against people who want to go out and play the game. And then you also have people within the crowd who's making a big deal or putting down people who want to not support the game. We shouldn't be doing infighting here. We shouldn't be doing this. Either side should not be doing this at all. You have to make your own decision when it comes to all this. You're still your own person. And at the end of the day, it's about whether or not that you got your money's worth, and if this is the game is going to offer the experience that you're looking for at the end of the day. So, what are your options? Because a lot of people is wondering, what are the options? How to go about it and everything. As I said before, I bought the game. And to give you, and to just let you know where my stance is on this is, what Shift Up has done was completely out of pocket, out of line. It was grimy. They told us one thing, and they actually delivered us something completely different. And that's why people have a right. Everybody has a right to complain. Everybody has a right to be upset about what's going on, and should speak out and call out Shift Up and Sony for that. But with that being said, in my case, what do I feel? Yes, go out, do what you need to do, call them out for it. But when it comes to me, I bought the game. I enjoyed the game. The censorship, yes, the censorship shouldn't have happened. But for me, my whole thing for me is about what Eve represent. To me, she's still a hot, sexy protagonist, and this character, man, has a lot of depth going on from what I'm playing so far, and I'm really enjoying it. So seeing like the bra placed on there, or some layers is covering the thighs just a bit, yes, it's irking. It pisses me off. It does annoys me in a sense. But for me personally, it's not enough for me to say, hey, I'm not going to play this game, because Eve is still the sexy protagonist, which was sold to me, and this is what I wanted. So I'm still going to play it regardless. But if you want to boycott and you want to do those things and want to call them out, yes, damn sure call them out. And this is why I'm making this video, to make everybody aware of what's going on and what options are out there. So some of the options that people were asking or looking around, and what I've seen on social media, is that you have people who said, hey, if you want to still play the game and you still want to enjoy the game, there is a way to be able to play the intended version, which is the uncensored version. And by doing that, what you have to do is you have to pretty much remove your disconnect your PS5 from the internet, so it won't update to the current build of the game. But even after you do all that, you still, every time you play the game, you have to make sure you're not connected. For example, I'm not going through all the gymnastics. Every time I have to make sure that the game is not online, I have to keep rejecting it. I don't feel like going through that. Like, I have so much stuff going on as far as other things that I have to do outside of gaming and stuff like that. I don't have time for that. Pop the disc in. I want to play the game. I'm going to play the game, review the game, and give you my opinion. But if that's what you want to do, that is an option. Don't update the game, and you will get the uncensored version. But the drawback to the uncensored version is you will have a much more difficult and unbalanced version, because with the patch, there's some balance tweaks when it comes to the parrying and everything like that. So that's the only problem. So you're playing an uncensored version where you get the gore, you get the outfits as intended, but you won't get the balance as far as some of the gameplay mechanics that they had to tweak and fix with the day one patch. So then you still have to make that decision what you want to do. Me, I'm not going through all that shit. I'm not going through all the gymnastics just to play that version. I'm going to just play it as it is and enjoy it for what it is. That's what I have to say about it. So, on top of that, if you guys really want to get to talk the Shift Up and really get their attention, you have a Twitter user named Grums. He used to work within the game industry himself or whatever. He also started a petition called Free Stellar Blade, hashtag Free Stellar Blade. You can go check that out. I'll post that in the link in the description below. They almost got 25k signatures. You can give that a try. to voice your opinion. That Grum said it works because he said he's the one that's responsible for Activision Blizzard to release the classic version of WoW because of his petition and everything. I don't know how true that is. You can go check that up and research that, but I'll post that as well and everything. So if you interested in wanting to do that, then do that. Now, if you want to hurt Sony's pockets, I've noticed that there's other people who suggested that, hey, unsubscribe to PlayStation Network en masse. Just unsubscribe to it. So if you also want to just send Sony the message, you can also do that as well. So these are a lot of options available if you want to make a difference, and if that's something that you want to do. Those are the options that's available. So, like I said before, there is hope, and don't let nobody tell you that speaking up is stupid, that you guys are stupid because you're upset that you can't get porn or whatever these people are saying that's being disingenuous about it. There's still hope. And the reason why I said there's still hope by speaking with your voice is because if you guys don't know, the Tomb Raider fans are winning right now. And what do I mean by that? Well, apparently there was some censorship that was snuck in through a patch with the Tomb Raider trilogy, where they started going in proactively censoring things stealth underneath the radar, which was the locker room. There were some provocative posters that was in the original of Lara Croft. They removed it from the game. Fans were upset once they discovered that's what happened, and fans spoke out. They said it, and guess what happened? The developers actually went back and repatched those provocative posters within the locker room of the Tomb Raider trilogy. So yes, your voice does matter, and it can project, and it can speak to the developers. As long as, like I said before, you can't harass, and you can't be a fucking moron about it, and because it destroys the momentum that we have. You still have to be calculated. You have to be cautious, and you have to do it in a respectful manner, and that's what they listen to. Because like I said before, these game developers, these journalists, they don't play by the same rule set that we play. These people can be disingenuous. These people can be liars. They can make up fake news and say that they've been harassed and all this other type of stuff without showing any receipts, and they will get the backing of other journalists and even the government themselves. I said this before. We don't have that same luxury. We can't do that. So you have to tread lightly of how you do it. Get their attention, but be mature about it. And definitely you guys can make some change. So that pretty much wraps up this whole entire situation so far. And we're bound to find out what's going to go on moving forward. So expect some updates in the near future of whether or not that we can be able to flip this around and have the game uncensored. That's the whole point. People just want the uncensored version because it is on the disc, which means it was the intended version. It was, because if the intended version was for it to be censored, then why didn't you just advertise the game to begin with if that was the intention? But show us the uncensored version to market the game. That's disingenuous. And I'm not no lawyer. Could that be a ground for a lawsuit? We don't know. We have to wait and see. But I definitely want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think about this entire situation of revolving Stellar Blade? Definitely want to hear your thoughts on it. I'm playing the game. I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time with it. I'm unlocking costumes and everything. And Eve as a character and the story in general, I think it's pretty cool so far. So expect a review once I'm done the game. This is MugenLord signing off. I'll see you Game Fiends later. Peace out.